Now, I've always said that mid-range carbon wheels offer the best bang for your buck, and they're probably one of the best ways to noticeably improve your bike's feel and reduce your bike's weight. It's one of the first upgrades I make on any of my bikes, and I think it's well worth the money. Now, when you compare a mid-range carbon wheel to the marginal gains you may or may not experience when you go with a top-shelf, big brand carbon wheel at 3 times the price, it's easy to see why wheels like these are what I consider to be the sweet spot for most average riders. In this video, a review of the Loon Grapid 700C carbon gravel wheels that I've been riding for the past few months. Now, full disclosure, Loon did send these wheels over to the channel for a review, but all thoughts and opinions are my own. So for starters, the Grapid line of wheels come in both 650B and 700C diameters, and they differentiate themselves from Loon's Hyper road wheels in that they're meant to be a little bit stronger and more capable when the terrain gets rowdier. Now, these wheels here are the 700C version, and they're 38 millimeters deep and have an inner width of 25 millimeters, good for just about any width tire that you'd want to run on a gravel bike. Now, the rims are hooked, meaning that you can run a standard tube and a tire, but they're also tubeless ready, and they don't even require tubeless tape since the construction is such that there are no spoke holes on the outer rim wall. Now, this makes setting up the tubeless tires really straightforward, but replacing spokes does become more of a headache. Now, thankfully, in a couple of hundred test miles, I haven't had the need to replace a spoke, but it's always kind of in the back of my mind. Now, the hubs are an in-house design, and they mate to Pilar bladed spokes, 24 in the rear and 20 up front in a 2-cross lacing pattern. The hubs take center lock disc rotors natively and employ 12 by 100 hub spacing in the front and 12 by 142 in the rear. All pretty standard stuff, to be quite honest. Oh, and of course you can get them in either a Shimano HG Free Hub or a SRAM XDR driver. Now, as for weight, the front comes in at 634 grams and the rear comes in at 780 grams for a total of 1,414 grams. And that's with tubeless valves installed. So how are they? Well, I've been running these wheels set up tubeless with Panaracer Gravel King slicks in 38 millimeter width over the past couple hundred miles on the Specialized Diverge over varied terrain ranging from smooth tarmac to some relatively chunky terrain. And honestly, I have to say, there's not a ton to report. Now, as with any mid-range carbon wheel, the weight savings and the stiffness are going to give you that initial wow factor over your stock wheels, and these Loon wheels were no exception. Now, I wouldn't call myself a weight weenie, but on the Diverge, these wheels saved me more than 500 grams compared to the stock DT Swiss wheels, which really makes the bike feel a lot more snappy and responsive. Now, I will say that the bearings still roll very smooth and haven't developed any grittiness or play. Now, I think this may be partially due to the use of the oversized 6803 and 6903 bearings, and also the effective hub seals that help to keep out the gunk. Now, for reference, on my Hunt 35 carbon wheels, I've actually had to replace bearings a couple of times already, partially because they aren't sealed quite as well, but also I think because they use smaller 6902 bearings, which place more stress on each bearing when compared to the larger cartridge on the Loons. Now, the Grapid wheels have essentially stayed perfectly true, although I don't have a feeler gauge to quantify the trueness, but they do seem to be as true as when I first put them on. I also haven't lost any spoke tension, which is more a nod to the wheel building process than the wheel material. But nonetheless, it's nice to know that the wheels are built properly and hold true after many miles. So clearly lots of good things to say, and yes, as wheel reviews go, it can be tough to differentiate one set from another, and I'd even go as far as to say that most mid-range carbon wheel sets in this class are pretty similar and really only differentiate in features like spoke count or minor dimensional differences. Now, I said it in my unboxing video, but it bears repeating here. The included tubeless valves were just plain too short. When seating the tire, I could barely engage the pump head, and it made the setup process unnecessarily challenging. Now, of course, it is a small complaint and easily remedied, but it's just something to note. Also, the fact that the carbon layup is such that there are no spoke holes on the outer rim wall is touted as a selling point, but I really think that it's a double-edged sword. Now, yes, tubeless setup is simplified as you don't need to apply any rim tape, but replacing the spoke becomes so much more difficult with no easy access to the spoke nipple. Now, it is possible to replace a spoke nipple on these wheels, but it's not fun and it requires a lot of precision fishing line work and some non-zero amount of swearing. So if you're one who dreads replacing broken spokes, then it may be something to think about when considering these particular wheels. But yes, overall, I really like these wheels and really have no complaints other than a couple of minor annoyances. And of course, the improvement to the ride quality over the stock wheel set is massive, as with any wheel in this class. Now, if we zoom out a little bit, I would say that the Loon Grapid wheels sit in the market with other mid-range carbon wheels like those offered by Hunt, Scribe, Prime, JRA, and probably a bunch of other companies that I'm sure you'll remind us of in the comments. Now, I do think that companies like Loon differentiate themselves from no-name Chinese carbon wheels, primarily in their quality control and customer support. Loon have been very responsive, and I think they stand behind their product as far as I can tell. When you email the company, you'll get a response from a real person, which I find reassuring. And to me, that's worth paying a little bit extra over a no-name brand with questionable manufacturing practices and sparse after-sales support. Now, when it comes to bike components in general, I do feel like there are some areas where cheaping out is okay, but a critical component like a wheel, to me, is just not one of them. And so again, I think that these Loon Grapid wheels sit right there in that sweet spot where the benefit to the ride quality is maximized at the lowest price. Now, I know there's going to be some of you who are going to remind me that high quality alloy wheels exist and are perhaps equally beneficial to ride feel and may even offer better value for the money. But in this video, we are talking specifically about carbon wheels, which do have some objective advantages over alloy wheels, like a higher strength to weight ratio and the ability to form the material into more aerodynamic profiles without adding excessive weight. So as far as carbon wheels go, again, I think that these Loon Grapid wheels do a great job of optimizing performance at a price point that us mere mortals can afford. All right, well, that's gonna wrap it up for this one. It doesn't seem like there's a ton of videos out there on these wheels right now, so if you have any questions about them or my experience with them so far, feel free to ask down in the comments and I'll do my best to get back to you. Thanks again for watching, and thanks for subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time.